In the famous 1953 novel Fahrenheit 451, the government bans books to control the ideas the public is exposed to. Sound familiar, Texas? We'll get back to this guy in a minute. The US has a long history of challenging and removing books from schools because of their content. But how has this happened? The government cannot ban books nationally because the First Amendment protects our freedom of speech, but books can be banned at the school level. In the 1982 Supreme Court case Island Tree School District v. Pico, the district school board banned 9 books from their libraries, saying they were anti-American, anti-Christian, anti-Semitic, and just plain filthy. Some of the books were Soul on Ice by Ulrich Cleaver, Go Ask Alice by Anonymous, and Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut Jr. A group of students led by senior Stephen Pico challenged the board's decision. The next clip you'll hear is Alan H. Levine, the student's representative in court, explaining that the school board violated First Amendment freedom of speech protections because it tried to limit ideas students could be exposed to.
Within the school context, of course, the court has historically talked about the right of academic freedom. And even though those cases arise often with teachers, what the interest is that's underlying those academic freedom cases is an interest that students be exposed to diverse ideas. And it is that diversity, that threat of orthodoxy, which is really at issue here.
The Supreme Court ruled the school board couldn't remove books from school libraries simply because members disagreed with the content. However, court agreed that books that are determined to be educationally unsuitable or vulgar can be removed. Since then, this decision has been used to remove multiple books from school libraries. In 1994, Song of Solomon was removed from reading lists in libraries in Richmond County, Georgia, after being called filthy and inappropriate. The Catcher in the Rye has been banned from several school libraries since its publication for language and content. In 2017, The Hate U Give was banned in Katy, Texas, while under review because of explicit language. Recent political and social movements continue to try to control which books and ideas are allowed in schools. This year, Texas passed House Bill 3979, also called the Critical Race Theory Law, which limits how schools teach race-related subjects. Although the bill only applies to the curriculum, a Republican state lawmaker who is running for state attorney general is using it to target 850 books. As chair of the Texas House Committee on General Investigating, State Rep. Matt Cross sent a letter to Texas school districts asking if they owned any books on his list, most dealing with race, sex, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Meanwhile, in nearby Canutillo, Texas, a group of parents is demanding the school board remove the book Gender Queer, a Memoir from the high school library. According to a report by KVIA, that book is no longer in circulation and the district will review its content to decide whether or not to remove it permanently. Retired El Paso school librarian Sharon Amistey says some schools don't have a formal policy for when people want a book removed, but they should.
You don't just pull the book off the shelf. You have a committee that considers it, and the person has to make a request.
Amistey says the policy when she worked at Eastwood Knolls Middle School required the person making a complaint to fill out a form. They needed to indicate whether they had read the book or not and what they objected about it. Then they needed to submit the form to the school's principal. The principal can create a review committee that includes a school administrator, the librarian, teachers, parents, and others knowledgeable on the subject. The committee members are required to read the entire book before determining if it should be removed or not. But not many challenges reach that point. Although banning books is nothing new, this doesn't mean it has no consequences, especially when most banned books are about some form of diversity. Arizona State University English professor James Blasingame says banning these books tells the students who relate to these stories that they don't matter. But if these books are available for students, they can spark conversations about the importance of diversity. Reporting for Borders, Elizabeth Cervantes.